We're excited to welcome you to today's webinar, Leveraging AI to Boost Advocacy and Scale Marketing. Before we get started, we always like to start, as you know, with a question. So the question for today is, what percentage of coverage did you get for the eclipse, and did you watch it? And if so, where did you watch it from? We'd love to hear how everyone's eclipse experience was. I was telling this group here that I had traveled with family down to Texas to watch it, which was really neat. And it was in the path of totality. And nice, 86% from North Carolina. We're already planning for the next one. I hope everyone else as well. Very cool experience. 85% in Charleston, 85 to 90. Nice in Jackson, Mississippi. Well, I'd love to see where everyone was for it. Well, we will go ahead and get started introducing. So we'd like to again welcome you to today's webinar, Leveraging AI to Boost Advocacy and Scale Marketing with Zach Giglio. And today we're going to continue building off of previous webinars on this topic. So again, very interactive. Get ready to get involved. It's definitely not just a listen in. We would like to get you involved and participating. And just as a reminder, Institute is a CAE and a CCE approved provider. So attending today's webinar does count for 1 point of CAE credit and 1 hour of CAE credit and 1 point of CCE credit. And if you are present today, you can request a webinar certificate by emailing us, and I will drop that email here in the chat. And then if you or someone else knows or is interested in learning more about Institute, we invite you to join our staff and volunteers for an Institute information session coming up here in about 2 weeks. So on Tuesday, April 23rd at 2 p.m. And I'll also drop the link there to register for that event if you're interested in joining. And just as a reminder, a recording of today's webinar and the materials will be provided after the webinar in our webinar and resource center on the website. So we invite you to watch afterwards a recording of today's webinar and reference any of the materials. And as we're going, feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat. Again, it will be very participatory, so we'd like to see your involvement. And especially on this topic, if there's an acronym or something you're not familiar with, please chime in and ask questions. So with that said, we'll go ahead and introduce Zach. So Zach is a seasoned marketing and communications professional, leveraging a decade of experience with AI technology to scale organizations' marketing, sales, and administration strategies and campaigns. He's a frequent speaker at conferences and provides insights into the convergence of AI and marketing, and runs in-depth AI and marketing workshops. His consulting acumen aids diverse clients from Fortune 500 companies to startups in crafting communication strategies and enhancing capabilities. And then beyond work, Zach serves on 2 nonprofit boards and is a passionate traveler, a wine enthusiast, and a storyteller. He lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and balances an active professional life with his love of family and culture. So with that said, Zach, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, CC. And I think wine enthusiast is just like a nice way to say I spend too much of my budget on wine. It's just like I think the cooler way to say it. But thank you for having me. Really happy to be here. We are going to get our hands dirty. So this isn't, I'm not going to just talk to you for an hour. What I really hope to happen is we do a little bit of learning and teaching in the beginning, but that very quickly we are going to actually do use cases. I'm going to share my screen, work in real time, and actually produce content for a few people who are on here and show you exactly how we would go about doing that. So I'm really excited, looking forward to that. But before I get in, I really encourage you to open up an AI model. That could be ChatGPT, it could be Gemini, maybe you use something like Jasper or Copy AI. But please open something up so that you can play along. And by the end of this, you may have produced an entire multi-channel marketing campaign for one of your big topics. And you may have produced by the end of this a nice get out the vote kind of strategy advocacy campaign that we can do in this webinar as well. So before we get to that, just to do a little bit of a refresher, I see that there are some people here who I recognize, but I think there's definitely a lot of new faces. So I think it'll be worth just kind of going through some of the things that we've gone over in the past ones, but just to kind of level set so that when we go into these workshops and the actual use cases, that we have the right foundational understanding. And I'll keep checking back for the chat. So like Cece said, please add questions in. I won't get thrown off. It'll be really good for us to make sure that we're all on the same page. So what we're going to cover today, like I said, we do an intro to AI. It's going to be a very quick intro to AI. We're going to talk about how do you engage with AI. There's a lot of challenges out there, but those challenges shouldn't stop us from using AI. We should just know the best way to approach it. Scaling advocacy campaigns and comms or marketing. And then I'll give you a few resources at the end that should hopefully be useful for putting some of this into action. So first, let's just do a quick intro. Now, if you asked 100 different AI experts, or so-called AI experts anyway, if you ask them, what is AI? You will get 100 different answers. Essentially what AI is a computer model that attempts to accomplish a task in a way that a human would recognize. That's it. So there's a lot of things under artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, supervised learning, things like this. But artificial intelligence overall is meant to mimic tasks and complete them the way that a human would. So many people have seen things, this type of screen before. This is ChatGPT. I like to show this because if you haven't used AI before, it might seem like this really big complex thing, but essentially it's just like a chat window. It's the same kind of bar that you would enter a Google search into. This is Claude, which technically right now has the strongest, most capable model on the market. It is really good also at like interpreting images. Let's say you have like old scanned documents that have text, but text that can't be recognized by a computer, like you can't copy and paste it. You could actually upload it all to Claude and say transcribe it for you, so you can get those words onto a computer screen. And then this is Copy AI, which I'm going to use. If you end up liking this, let me know. I will give you a discount code after this. But basically, it kind of combines a bunch of different models, and it gives you the ability to scale workflows. And then actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of this because someone the other day told me that they didn't know what Perplexity is. And I'd like to quickly show what Perplexity is because it is a really cool tool that is looking to replace Google, where you essentially just say like, you know, who was the director of The Dark Knight. Sorry, I'm giving a little insight into the first thing I can think of. And it gives you like a Google search. So basically it crawls the web and it like figures out what the right answer is, and then it'll cite the references. It performs a lot better than Google and a lot of stuff. And I probably go to Google like 10% of the time now compared to what I used to do. That's another really, really cool tool that I would encourage you to check out. But we're all here because we understand and realize that there's something to AI. There must be some benefit. Everybody's talking about it. People are using it. Well, in fact, on average, small business owners say that AI is doing the work of 2.1 full-time employees. 76% of small business owners report that AI frees both the business owner and employees time to focus on high-value tasks. If I remember correctly, I think that showed that it was about 13 hours being saved a week per employee, which is massive. And 93% say that, yeah, it's driving cost savings and improving profitability. I think that's a no-brainer. But AI can be used for a lot of different things. People don't really know like how to get started with AI. So I think it's worth just giving you an example of all the companies. Like, I think this is like a survey of thousands of companies that use AI. Where are they using AI? Technical assistance and troubleshooting. So there's a lot of like coding and things that people can do with AI, and like also check the cleanliness of their code. That probably won't be applicable to anybody here. Content creation and editing, 22% of the time people are using that, AI for that. That is exactly what we're going to be talking about here. Personal and professional support. I heard a lot of people talk about writing resumes, letters of recommendation. Learning and education. So that Perplexity thing I just did, just like learning, searching stuff. I mean, I'll be playing with my son and he'll ask me what kind of dinosaur the toy dinosaur we have is. And I won't have any idea. And I'll just take a picture of it. And then I will upload it to like ChatGPT and say, what kind of dinosaur is this? on my phone, and it'll do that. So it is actually kind of fun for learning and education. Creativity and recreation. I have a friend who we helped use AI at his uh, in his life, and he uses it not only professionally, but he plans fishing trips with it. It's really cool. Research analysis and decision making. I use AI for lots of research. We'll talk about some of the pitfalls you can have using AI for research, but that's another really good use case. So how can AI supercharge comms and marketing? And in this instance, advocacy, well, it can end blank page syndrome. I know like a lot of people struggle with blank page syndrome like I do, which means that you know you have to write something, you kind of know what needs to be about, but you have a hard time getting started. We're going to address that in the actual use case that we're going to go through. Generating ideas. So maybe you know that you want to write an article about something that has to do with workforce development, but you've already kind of written about workforce development. So maybe you need a couple different ideas, and so you can use AI to help you think through, show AI what you've already written by just including like a link or even the full text of an article. And then ask for other ideas like it that would make sense for someone like you to be, or your chamber to be writing. Streamline longer form content. So we're going to show, I'm going to show you exactly how I would do that, at least in a more truncated version. It'll still take me a while to write a blog article or a long form piece of content, but a lot quicker than it used to. Prospecting and personalized engagement. So we did an entire webinar on this last month, I think it was. I highly recommend check out, go on the IOM YouTube page and check out the last one. We did just like I'm going to do today. I shared my screen and talked about how you not just create an email for like your members to get them to attend an event or to take advantage of a chamber benefit, but that you don't, like maybe you write it to a segment. So hospitality businesses, tech businesses, transportation, whatever you have in your chamber, but also specific businesses. So not even just a kind of business, but that exact one. And you could do that at scale. So I would definitely check that other one out if you want to learn more. It's one of my favorite use cases for AI. Scaling multi-channel marketing campaigns. We're going to do that today. And editing and proofreading. It's kind of funny how a lot of people forget or overlook the fact that AI can be a really strong tool for editing and proofreading. I know a lot of chambers have smaller teams. And even if you have like a decent sized team, everybody's doing their own thing. So you don't always have multiple sets of eyes to help you review the content that you're putting together before it goes out. And so AI can act as another set of eyes, which is really great. We have a small team, so we do that a lot. But there are limitations for AI, and I'm just going to quickly check back to make sure I'm not missing any questions or anything. Again, feel free to put stuff into the chat. We don't have to, yeah, good. Okay, so we're doing it right. We don't have to wait till the end, but you can if you want to. So limitations of AI generated content, it'll inadvertently include accuracies or misinterpretations. I think, the industry term is hallucinations. It's like a really, hallucination sometimes it maybe can be fun or scary. That could be the same thing with an AI model. Basically, it's confusing context or language or something, and it's giving you the wrong answer. Or something that maybe isn't completely wrong, which is almost more dangerous because it's harder to spot if something is slightly wrong. It'll give you answers that are plain wrong. So I use AI a lot for research, particularly if I'm putting together a proposal or some content or writing a report or something like that. And I want hard statistics to back up what I'm doing. So I'll say something like, there might be something that in my experience, I believe, or I know to be true. But I want to show that this is something that affects a larger group of people. So I'll like input a couple of sentences or a paragraph, and I'll ask AI to find research or statistics that have been released within the last 12 months that could support this point or the points that I'm making in the paragraph, and it will give me some. And you have to check them because sometimes they will completely make up the statistics. or it'll kind of get the nuance in the article wrong, and so it'll give you like a statistic that appears in that article, but that's actually speaking to something else in the article. So that can be a real challenge. It has a lack of memory and ability to understand longer conversations. So this is getting less of a problem, but basically the best way to engage with AI. So don't think of AI as like something that can do a job, but rather something that can do tasks, and therefore is best engaged when you're breaking down what you want it to do into smaller tasks. That requires, though, a longer conversation with a model. And when I say model, again, it could be like ChatGPT, Gemini. So that could require a longer conversation with a model, but they only have what they call context windows, which is essentially its memory, its ability to remember, or how much it can remember the conversation you're having with the model. And then it will forget the original, like everything above that. And so it can start like producing outputs that are really confusing or like way off. The other thing too is there's some tools like Jasper and Copy AI where you could, let's say you're writing an article, a longer form article, and you only have like the first paragraph of this section completed, and you need to write more, but you kind of need some help to get it started. You can like literally hit one button, and the tool will look back. I think it's like 1,000 characters or something, and then based on what it sees, we'll use that context just to continue writing. But if you have a really long article, if you're generating a really long report, it won't be able to get to that. Let's see people as individuals. So AI was basically, the original AI models are symbolic. So essentially they put symbols, just like algebra is like X plus Y equals Z. That's how AI kind of still, even to this day, even though they have what's called sub-symbolic models, even to this day, AI still just kind of sees like things represented as like a symbol. So like, it really hurts my feelings, but AI doesn't know Zach. Even though I trained the models or I tweak them and I've uploaded information about me, how I speak. If I was going to talk about AI, how would I talk about it? What is my definition of artificial intelligence? It doesn't see me as a human being with feelings, thoughts, and emotions. It just sees me as a set of data, which is important to remember when you're asking it to like transcribe a conversation with multiple people. Like that's why it can misattribute quotes, is because the data sets aren't as clearly defined in its mind, essentially. And it has a possibility of drift. So this is a much longer and for me very interesting conversation, but this is important to note that the more an AI model gets trained on a specific set of data, or like a set of data that speaks to, like, let's say radiology or human resources or something, the less focused it will become on things that it is not actively being trained on. So this is why ChatGPT is worse, at least it was, but worse today at basic arithmetic than it was when it launched on November 30th, 2022. Because OpenAI was basically like, okay, it could do basic arithmetic. We don't need to continue training it on basic arithmetic, but it continued to train it on all these other things. And so it got smaller. It's like bandwidth of the percentage makeup of what it knew got smaller and smaller with basic arithmetic, and so it got worse at it. And I think about me, like my background is in marketing, but I don't really do much marketing anymore. What I do is all this AI stuff, and I'm now getting like dumber in other areas of my life. Like I couldn't even think of like these basic names that I used to know because the bandwidth of my brain is mostly taken up by AI stuff, and it's the same thing with the model. So if we know that AI is really, really strong, being used in all these different use cases and is very exciting. But we also know that it has limitations and it can produce all these bad results. How do we leverage it? And I'm going to get into that right now. But we have a question. It says, how do you train AI ChatGPT on the voice of your organization? So ChatGPT, so you're going to have to forgive me because I don't remember what the free versions of all these tools do. Because we have the paid versions and I just haven't used the free version in a while. But there is two ways to train ChatGPT. So one, if you have the pro version, I don't think it's available on the free version, but there is like in the settings, you can give it information about you so that when it responds, it will always talk kind of like in that tone and voice. So you can say my tone and voice is very authoritative, it is very bold, it presents really big visions, but it's supported always and grounded in like theory and statistics, or I'm very informal and conversational and quirky, like whatever it is, you can actually put it in like the settings. But another thing you can do, and I'll get into it also later, but you can essentially you can use ChatGPT, even the free version, to analyze what your tone and voice is. And you can even do it for like, what is your tone and voice when you write a blog? What is your tone and voice when you write a tweet? What is your tone and voice when you write an email, a text message, whatever? So let's say we're talking about the way you write a blog article. So take like 2 paragraphs from a blog article that you've already written that you like. You say, okay, if I could write every blog article this way, these are the 2 paragraphs I would want it to emulate. Take those, paste it into ChatGPT and say, can you please um, describe the tone and voice in the following text, and then paste those 2 articles. And it will then describe it to you. And you can get more specific, and you could say, please describe the tone and voice in a way that a copywriter would easily be able to understand and then execute when writing for me. So then it'll be a little bit more descriptive, so that when you're then using it to tell ChatGPT to like rewrite something in your tone and voice, it'll be in like a way that it can understand and action better. And then what it will do, it'll give you that tone and voice. Then it'll give you that description. Then you take that and you say, is this genuine? Does this feel right? And also, does this also match how I aspire to write, how I aspire to sound? Because a good tone and voice description matches 2 things. It matches who you are genuinely, and also how you want to be like to write. So make sure, edit it, make sure, and then save it. Save it in an Excel sheet with all of your tones and voices, my blog, my text, my LinkedIn, my whatever. And now every time you go to have ChatGPT write something for you, you could say, that's great, now rewrite it in this tone and voice, and then you paste that tone and voice. So that's one way to quote unquote train ChatGPT, a free model. Now there's other tools like Copy AI and Jasper that can save multiple tones and voices, that when you're having it produce, you just literally click like a radial button to say like, you're now producing in Zach's blog voice, you're now producing in Zach's speaking voice, you're now producing in whatever. But those I think are all paid, but I'm not sure. That's a good question. It's a really, really good thing. The challenge is going to be, you're welcome. The challenge is in 2025, they're predicting that all of the content generated, 90% will be assisted by artificial intelligence. Now that is a problem, because most people, just to be honest, who use AI to produce content do not take the extra steps to do it in their tone and voice, to clearly prescribe an audience, goals, a channel, like all this really fundamental comms stuff that you should be doing to create quality content that resonates with people on an emotional level. What's happening is people are producing like very generic content at scale because they don't know better. And they're like, wow, I can produce all this content. I can produce a blog article in 5 minutes. Someone says that, there's a red flag going off. It won't be very good. But most people, like I'm getting increasingly inundated in LinkedIn and stuff, because people are just able to produce all this sales nonsense. So to be able to cut through the noise, particularly to your members who are like used to hearing from you, it is very important that you create content that is genuine, that sounds like you, and that connects with people on an emotional level, and that feels like you are speaking to them on a one-on-one level. Otherwise, it's going to be increasingly hard to cut through the noise. I've been saying this for like 20 years, and so is every other comms person. It is truer now than it ever has been. All right, so we know that AI is so great. We also know that it has tons of problems. So how do we engage AI? We treat it like a fast-paced junior employee. So if you think about a fast-paced junior employee, of which I exhibit many traits, it's ambitious, it's making a name for itself, it's rushing to finish tasks, which is wonderful because you get stuff done quickly, but it also leaves us vulnerable to mistakes, needs a lot of guidance, lacks maturity and understanding. And what I mean by that is more of your own profession and your expertise in your industry. And the better guidance you give, the better outputs it gets. So I don't know if anybody recently saw the Jon Stewart AI segment. It's really good, really fun. He just got a lot of things wrong, quite honestly. Where one of the things he got wrong was he said a prompt engineer is like expert question asker, which is kind of funny. But that's really not what prompt engineering is. There actually is a lot of scientific ways to approach how you enter prompts. And the better you can get entering prompts and describing what you want from the model, the better the outputs will be. And the more complex and capable that these models become, the more important it will be for you to learn how to prompt and how to prompt effectively. It isn't that these things are going to like get better so we don't have to. It'll get better so we have to even more. And so if you're thinking about like a junior employee, if you said, hey, junior employee, go write me a blog article about why my chamber is so great and why this member should be, like all members should become, or businesses should become members, it'll go do that. But if you say, write a blog article, it should be 1,500 words, it very much should be tailored to a small business in this community who has started in the last 2 years or just came into the industry in the last 2 years, who's also facing the same issues that our community faces, which is X, Y, and Z, and why our specific chamber is uniquely suited to help them navigate these challenges, X, Y, and Z. And the more context you give that junior employee, the more you're going to get an article or an outline that is closer to what your intention is and a higher quality of work. It's the same thing with AI. So the more context you're giving AI, the better. The same thing as a junior employee, if you think about it, you know, I wouldn't tell a junior employee to go write a blog article. What I would do is say, go research and come back with 5 ideas for a blog article of what we could do to help promote why our chamber is, or talk about why our chamber is so beneficial for businesses to become a member. Then they come back, say, okay, I like number 1 and 3, go expand on that. Okay, they come back, okay, let's go with number 1, generate an outline. So how I would talk to that junior employee is the same way I talk to AI, which is to break bigger things like a blog article down into tasks. Remember, AI performs tasks, not functions, not roles. When AI will take over our job is when it understands all the tasks required in all of our jobs and can perform them better than we can, which we're not that close to yet. AI is a task master, not a job master. So tips for prompting, which you're going to actually see me put into action in a second. Provide ample context. Why are you asking it to do this thing? Who is going to receive this information or this communication? What do you hope these people do once they do receive this communication? How long do you want this thing to be? What is the tone and voice? What is the call to action? What channel is this going to live on or to be distributed on? All of this context is going to help the model think much more succinctly about the request that you are giving it. The challenge with AI is that it knows a good amount about too many things. And so when you're asking it to do something even very simple, it goes to its entire world of knowledge and then will scrape that knowledge to produce what it believes to be the next step, which is its output. By providing this context, you're basically telling it to ignore parts of its training data sets and focus on the things that are important, which is just efficient in a whole bunch of different ways, but also will help narrow its focus so that it gives you much more pointed responses. Role play, another way to get it to focus its attention is to have it assume a role. You act as the vice president of member engagement at the Somerville Chamber of Commerce, which I'm in Somerville and I'm a member and they're awesome. So act as a vice president of communication at Somerville Chamber of Commerce. Act as a search engine optimization expert who knows how to analyze search engine result pages to determine the best keywords for a blog article. All these different roles help it focus itself and to give you much better output. Use word processing tools outside of AI, and I can show you that in a second. But basically, the word processing ability, adding bullets, bolding, hyperlinking, even line spacing, although it's possible, it's hard in these AI windows, in these model windows. So the best thing to do is to go to like Google Docs, Microsoft Word, and put your prompt there, and then to put it into the tool so that you have much more cleanliness in your prompt and that you're structuring your information in a nice, clean way that the model will understand. Have a conversation and provide feedback. You know, make this shorter. A lot of people do that. I do that. Why? Why are we making this shorter? Make this shorter to focus on this theme. Make it shorter to fit better into a tweet. Make it shorter because, and remove any language that is not plain English. Again, the more feedback, the more context you're giving, the better it will become in giving you your outputs. Includes goals and audiences. Another thing you could do is like, instead of trying to describe your audience, maybe there's like you're writing something to a group of members who do share some traits. Maybe what you could do is you take the web address of one of those members and you include it and say, the audience for this communication is this businesses and is this business, and then you paste the URL and all the businesses in our membership that are like it. That's another way to get it to like really think clearly about delivering content that is directed at specific people. Add tone and voice. Given A, B, C, do X, Y, Z. So it doesn't always, you don't need to follow this so strictly all the time, but essentially you want to give the context before you're asking it to do the action. And that's also where I'll show you the word processing tools are really, really great for that. So that you can actually give it the context without having to like paste all this stuff at the top. You can structure it, which I'll show you. The other thing that's not on here that I think it's worth mentioning is when you're asking it to do something, stick to the facts. Like, don't try and shape the way it thinks about it. Don't try and give it your marketing language. Just give it the facts and let it do its work to shape that depending on the prompt that you're giving it. All right, let me check for questions. If ChatGPT isn't drawing information from the internet, where is it drawing from? So that's a good question. So again, I don't remember what the free version is, but I know that the paid version at least is drawing information from the internet. So it's what's called RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. So that is when a model is trained on a data set. ChatGPT is trained on data. It's about 10% of the internet. And then on top of that, depending on the request, it will then go out into the world and do like a Google search, well, a Bing search. And it will combine what it finds with what it's been trained on and give you that output. So ChatGPT is drawing from information. Now, from the internet. The frustrating thing is sometimes it will tell you that it can't. So you'll ask it, you'll put a LinkedIn or a URL, and it'll work 9 times. And the 10th time, it'll say, I'm sorry, as a ChatGPT, I'm not able to access the internet, or I'm not able to access this website, which doesn't make sense. I don't know why it happens like that, but sometimes it happens. And it can get like stuck. So like that could be like an hour it's doing that. So that's why what we also do is we use multiple models at one time. So like any day I'm using Perplexity, I'm using Claude, I'm using ChatGPT, I'm using Gemini, and I'm using Copy AI, and I'm using Jasper. Usually like every day I'm using at least 4 of those tools. So if you're getting frustrated with ChatGPT because it's like not understanding what it can do, at that moment, just use other tools. But it can draw information from the internet, but it's just a little bit different from it being trained on what's on the entire internet. I don't know if that makes sense. And if you want me to explain it, I'm happy to, but it might not be necessary. All right, so let's actually like share a screen and get into some of these case studies. So for scaling multi-channel marketing campaigns, we kind of went over that. So I'm just going to reshare and I'm going to get into Copy AI and we're going to do some work. But I'm going to need you're welcome, Adam. So I'm going to need a participant because I actually do want to create content for someone today. So this is Copy AI. So you can see here it uses like a few different models. It also uses Perplexity, but you just can't like select it for whatever reason. What I would like is we're going to create a blog article for a chamber. Now I would like, there's some chamber here I know on this call right now who needs to be producing a blog article this week about something. So, or you don't know exactly what it's about, but you have like some ideas of what you want to be writing about this week. So I would like somebody to comment in the chat, name of your chamber, and the topic of the blog article that you would like us to create. It doesn't have to be a well thought out article. It could even be something like, this is my chamber, we want to do something about workforce development. Or I don't know why I keep saying workforce development. I don't know why that's in my head, but workforce development, or we want to do something about why becoming a member of our chamber is so wonderful for your business, or about a recap of an event that happened. The best restaurants in the neighborhood. Great. Hanover Area Chamber of Commerce, revitalizing Main Street, strategies for attracting businesses. But this is awesome. Who's this? Jacob Taylor? Jacob Taylor. This is a great example. All right. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to say act as a senior content strategist. Now, let me just preface this. This shouldn't go perfectly, right? This should not go perfectly. AI is not perfect. It will not produce a perfect output the first time. My hope is that there is some ways that we're going to have to correct this output so that you can see that the process that this really requires, and it's not just like, oh, I wrote a blog article in 5 minutes, which is dangerous. Act as a senior content strategist. Give me 5 ideas for writing a blog article for the Hanover Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm just going to find your website so I can just include that. And I'm going to do it in a lazy way. This is not necessarily how I would do it. But I'm just going to put it in brackets here so it knows where to reference the information about revitalizing Main Street. That includes strategies for attracting businesses and foot traffic in our downtown. So this is, by the way, using ChatGPT 4, which is the pro version, and you can see when it says scanning, it's looking through the chamber, so it's using Google or Bing to search. So number 1, the Renaissance of Hanover, a future blueprint for downtown revitalization, delve into the collaborative efforts between the Hanover Chamber of Commerce and Main Street, Hanover. I don't really want to do that. Discover Hanover, driving tourism to our downtown core. Well, it's really more about businesses. Legislative support pulse with Main Street. That's interesting. Probably don't want to do that now, but that is interesting. A community fair involving locals in Main Street revitalization. I like that idea. Building the future of historic foundations, preserving Hanover's charm while attracting new businesses. That's cool too. So here's my recommendation. You tell me, Jacob, we can do number 1, but say we move the collaboration with Main Street Hanover, and or do number 5. Which one would you like to do? Oh, cool. Okay, let's go with number 5. Can you produce a blog article outline for it keeps scanning your chamber? Probably doesn't need to, but I think that worked. Let's go with number 5. I'm going to refresh because it's not listening. There we go. If you were doing this with like ChatGPT, this would all be the same. If you're doing this with Gemini, this would all kind of be the same. If you don't have the pro version of ChatGPT, I don't know if it's going to be searching the internet, which would give you a different result. It wouldn't be as good. So here's the outline. Now I'm going to open up this thing here. It's called like the editor. It's like really easy to like work alongside the chat, but you could use obviously Google Docs or Microsoft Word to do what I'm about to do. So I would look at this and say, okay, a brief introduction to Hanover's area's rich history and its unique charm. I like that. Mentioning the challenge of blending tradition with modernity. I like that too. It's kind of like setting unique challenge of balancing history and progress. A look at the historic preservation and its economic impact. Strategies for modernizing historic downtown. Success stories of blending the old and the new. The benefits of attracting businesses while preserving charm. Public engagement and input. Call to action. Okay, so I like this, but I think can you add a section or replace a current one with a section about how the Hanover chamber is playing a role in this revitalization. After all, this is your chamber. We do want to talk about all the good things that your chamber is doing. So still the same thing. Okay, outline countryside, the Hanover Chamber of Commerce has been planning and implementing. That's cool. Talk about partnership with developers, business owners, maintain, okay, success stories, blending the old and the new. This is going to be hard for it to do. I don't think it's going to be able to do this. So we might leave this part alone for now. But okay, so now let's say we like it. I'm going to just click add to the editor. You just put that in whatever you're using. So now what you could also do here is like add stuff. So like which history and unique term, say like make sure to include like fun stats like when the town was founded. All right, so now we say this is great. So I'm gonna break it down into like text. Now we're not gonna write this whole art. We're not gonna say great, good art, good outline. Let's write the whole article. We're gonna break it down section by section. That is like the cleaner, better, more productive way to do it. So say that this is great. Let's start with the introduction. Please write that based on the following outline or section outline. Now, what I could also do is like include my tone and voice. I think that's here or here somewhere, my tone and voice. But you could also do it afterwards too. Like you don't have to do it while it's doing it. Also, in the heart of Pennsylvania, the Hanover area boasts a rich tapestry. I don't know, AI always uses the word tapestry. It's really strange. I don't like it. Nestled in the heart of Pennsylvania, the Hanover area boasts a rich tapestry of history and charm that has been carefully woven for over centuries. Founded in 1745, this story, okay, let's say we like it. You know, there needs to be some stuff. So what I'm just going to do is copy this. And instead of the outline part here, I'm just going to paste it, remove the forwarded list. And now we have an introduction. This might be long. I don't know. I also don't like the long paragraphs. I would definitely break it up. It's just me giving, I guess, now marketing advice, not AI advice. I do like this. Now you might want to like here, you might want to like hyperlink somewhere. Okay, but let's say we like it. Or let's say this is too long. That is great, but too long. Reduce it to 100 to 150 words maximum. To do that, again, I know this is a different tool than what you're used to using, but this will work in basically most tools that we're doing. And having to think extra hard. I guess that was a tough request, which it might have been. We're just gonna do one more section before we start. While this is thinking, somebody else, please, a different chamber, give me a link, a URL link to a blog article that you've already written, ideally that you've written somewhat recently, that we can use to create a whole bunch of different content for different channels. So anybody, the first person to put in a link, we will use that. Okay. I don't have the patience. So let's try Claude, just because a lot of people haven't used Claude. So let's just show, shorten the following to 150 words. Actually, let's make it 100. Claude's usually very fast. That's cool. I like that. Let's use that instead. Sorry, copy AI. We don't have time to wait. What I would probably also do is after I write this article, again, marketing, I'd probably go back, copy the whole article except the intro, and then say, write an intro for this. I usually write the intro and the conclusion. So great. So I was going to say, let me just clear this. Write a blog article section for the Hanover Area Chamber, PA, following outline. Also, my typing's not that good because I usually talk to my AI, like language, like speaking. So I don't normally do all that talking. Okay, so let's say we really like this. The importance of retaining Hanover character. Okay, good. Okay, the reality of modern business. Okay, good. This is what I'm looking for. So, let's say we really like this paragraph, but we want some like hard data. Like we don't want to just say it, we want to prove it. So please find statistics from the last 12 months that support the following idea. And if this takes too long, I'm going to also use Claude. I would probably do this anyway, just to like see what they both come up with. Yeah, see, now it's saying that's good that you see that. Let's do complexity. This is really cool. It's like complexity is awesome. Hanover Town Action Plan highlights several challenges facing Hanover, including the lack of affordable housing. All right, this is good. This might be a good thing to bring in. So you can use that again to like support your kind of like the statements and things that you're making. All right, does anybody have a blog article that we can use that you've written recently to create some multi-channel marketing content? Put the URL into the chat. No one has a blog, but people must be writing blog articles. Let's go to the US Chamber IOM. There is navigating loyalty points. When points are more than just points, navigating loyalty points within the organization. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create some multi-channel marketing content. Oh, here's one. Good. Okay. Gabriella, thank you. Nice. Good. Okay. So first, before we even start doing it, we're just going to say like, okay, we want to create multi-channel recent blog article. Can you come up with a content plan for that? Again, before we start producing, like let's just put some structure behind it. I'm going to save this just like I send it to I think it's Jacob. We'll just work down here. Okay, so email newsletter. It's giving me templates. I don't want the templates. Okay, good. Email newsletter. So I'm now going to take, I could just take the link. Maybe I'll just take the link to keep it a little bit cleaner. So I'm just taking the link to the blog article that was shared. I'm going to put this in the editor here. Clear that just to keep it clean. And I'm going to say, okay, for social media, we are active on Facebook, LinkedIn, IG, and Twitter. I don't know if that's true. Please create one post for each channel with a strong headline, a clear call to action, and with language appropriate. For each channel, here is a link to a blog article. Space. So to reading your article. Congratulations on the news, by the way. That's pretty cool. Jacob, yeah, I'll send you the outline and whatever is produced. Absolutely. And Gabrielle, I'll send you all this too. All right, headline, major breakthrough for wooden pallet industry in EU regulations. Canadian victory in the EU. Is that what that's about? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Computer Explorer victory journey, LinkedIn. See, I mean, like you can tell it's quite different. Like Facebook, this is a little more informal or more like fun. Here, it's more like straightforward. Here's call to action. Here's the headline, post content, or whatever. So, like, let's say we kind of like this. I would expand on. I've definitely expanded on the LinkedIn one. So I'm just gonna put all that here. Email newsletter. So let's say now write a section for my chambers or for my newsletter. Now I'm using like what it said I should do from the outline as like a guide to like what it should be doing. You know, what else is included? LinkedIn article, that's a good idea. YouTube video. So this is what people miss too. They're like, well, AI can't do a video for me. No, but it can develop a video script for you. It can create a storyboard for you with visuals. And then it's telling you to do this yourself. And actually AI can do some good stuff on as far as doing imagery. It's getting better and better. So I would just then take the newsletter. I'm going to copy this and put it here. And Gabriella, I will send this to you. Let's see. We have 8 minutes. I'd really like to show you one thing about what you can do with advocacy. So does anybody have an issue in your community? Yeah, you do have a great team. Yeah. So just an issue, a new piece of legislation, something that's happening in your community that you want to notify your members about. This might be a little bit of a tougher thing to figure out from the bat. 2 major hospitals closed. Yes. Okay, good. That's interesting. Do you have, where are you? Or do you have like a link to a news story about that? Yeah, that's, yikes. I'm sorry to hear that. Let's do that. We can actually do this now. So I'm gonna, okay, so 2 major hospital. And a handful of major yikes. That's scary. Can you give me the name of your chamber, please? Oh, here it is. I got it. Never mind. Here is some info from my chamber. Please draft an email to my members about, let's see, there's like a, So you have closed submissions for your task force and parts of organizing existing applicants into suitable committees. What you can actually do for AI is tell it what committees you have, and then say all the people who've applied, and have it do its best to like match people in the right committee based on information about their business, especially if you have the links to all those businesses' websites. It'll be amazing what it can do. At least get it started for you. We open a submission process. So task force communication, sign up here. Okay, so maybe we're going to create something that's going to get them to sign up for information. Getting them or encouraging them newsletter so they can stay informed and involved in our process. Now I just say, make sure you communicate why it is in their best interest to do so. Now, can you do me a favor, please, and give me one member. It could be like a URL, a business member that you want to write a specific email to. Because this is where it gets really powerful. So, therefore, join the task force. The significant changes facing our healthcare landscape in New Clare. As you may be aware, the recent closure of 2 major hospitals have led to substantial void in our community's healthcare services. This looks pretty good. You just don't open up an emergency room for a hospital as a standalone operation. You have to have other services. I'm guessing this was taken from your thing. Wow, where was that taken? That must be taken from somewhere. Maybe it was taken in the public notices. Okay, so and Gen Energy, you've heard of them. So this is really good. Thank you for being continued. Okay, take action. To sign up for the newsletter, please click here. There's the link, or visit our dedicated page to find out more. So that's not bad. So let's just add it to the editor just so I can send this to you because you don't want to use it. Okay, now let's say you have like 10 businesses that you want them to sign up for very specifically, or 100. Okay, now we write that and make it tailored for, I'm just going to put this is again lazy because we're getting to the end, but I'm putting that business in there. So what it's going to do now is take information. Now, what you could also do is take like a person at that business that you normally communicate with, you take their LinkedIn URL and you put it in there. Now, let's say you have a entire Excel sheet of all your members that you want to target with this specifically and all their websites or all the LinkedIn URLs. You could run like copy AI to create those emails one by one in like 5 minutes. Let's see what it says. Dear members of the Dun Energy Cooperative, in this dynamic time, staying informed and engaged with our energy cooperative is more crucial than ever. The complex network that powers our homes and recently witnessed a shift in innovation in the energy sector. Okay, no, this is good. So it messed up, right? It's not perfect. Make this about the hospital closure issue like before. Important community notice, join the health services recovery effort. Due to recent development of the community healthcare infrastructure, brought forward impressive challenges. As a comprehensive healthcare is fundamental to our families, employees, and community at large. We have done it. No, this is targeted to Dun Energy. Make sure you explain why they should care and get involved in a way. Permanent practice closures have, what it matters to us. Employee health and wellness. Okay, so now you're telling them that it matters. I don't know if it's going to get it quite right, but I would say combine it with the messages in the original thing to get them to sign up to the newsletter. So that's how I would scale that part of the advocacy thing, which I know is like really, really quick. And I know we have 1 minute left. I have a couple more minutes to hang on, but I'm going to let CC come back on and maybe close it out, but hopefully that was helpful. We try to fit in a lot.
To stay on, then just go ahead and thank those that do need to jump off for attending today. And just as a reminder, if you would like to reference the pinned note here in the chat, that Institute as a CAE and CC approved provider does count as 1 hour of credit and 1 point of credit for CAE and CC respectively. If you'd like to email us for a webinar certificate, we've put the email link there, the iowa.uschamber.com. And then we do have an information session coming up in 2 weeks. So just as a reminder, if you or you know somebody that would like to learn more, we invite you to attend, and there is a registration link there. And then the recording of today's webinar and the reference materials will be available in our webinar resource center. So again, all those notes are pinned. So with that said, Zach, I'll let you continue on if you have a couple minutes, and those that are able to stay on, we welcome you to. Those that do need to go, we thank you for attending today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. So Zach, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, thanks, CC. And does anybody have any questions? So, I mean, I'm sorry that we couldn't get to questions, but like any questions about what we went over, any more general questions, anything like that I can help people with. I'm very happy to do my best to answer those. And especially with AI, there are no bad questions. I didn't used to believe that, but in AI, it's true. If you had to pay for one service, which would it be? Good question. So the reason why I might pay for Copy AI, which is the tool I just showed you, is because it includes other models inside of it. So it also includes like Claude. So, and it has like more scaling capabilities. So if you pay for ChatGPT, you only get ChatGPT. If you pay for Copy AI, you get ChatGPT, you get Claude, you get Perplexity. The only problem that you're not going to get is in ChatGPT, the native model that you would pay for, you can also get this image generation, which is actually becoming better and better. It used to really be bad. But now you can actually edit the image generation. The images that it generates, you can now go back and edit through natural language, which is really cool. If you use the Copy AI version of ChatGPT, that's not available to you. So if you're not really that worried about image generation, I would do Copy AI, because then you're basically getting all these other models and you don't have to pay for them individually. And like it doesn't work out to be much more than ChatGPT, especially with the discount. I can get you a 40% discount. Like then it's like cheaper. But if you are like really, and for a chamber, I think Copy AI definitely. But if you're really looking to have like just real like general functionality, and you want to maybe build your own custom GPTs, probably ChatGPT is the best, even though Claude is technically the most powerful. ChatGPT is just slightly easier to navigate. And also like there's other tools, like if you were doing marketing, lots of marketing content, marketing campaigns, then I would use Jasper. If you were doing SEO, I would do Surfer. You're welcome. If you're doing just image creation, I would use Canva, although Adobe just came out with a Canva competitor that's apparently easy for like non-designers to use. That's a good question. Any other questions? You can also ask, I can also run through a use case, share my screen again. Someone has a question, I'm sure of it. No? Okay. Well, I think what Cece will do is what she said, she'll like send out my info. So if you don't want to ask it now, or if something comes to you later, like definitely, oh, you know what I could do is give you the free resource. I'll send it to CC. So it's like a free beginner's guide to communications and marketing. That it's like 48 pages. It's pretty good. We created it, and it'll definitely get you started. And it has a bunch of the stuff we talked about today that'll be in there. So that could be pretty useful. But definitely reach out. I'm happy to answer whatever questions you all have now or afterwards, and to stay in touch. All right.
Well, we will be sure to include that in the webinars and resource center as well with those materials. So thank you again, Zach, for everything today. I hope this was helpful. It sounds like a lot of good things came from it. So I hope everyone's excited to take this and translate it into your roles. Well, thank you everyone for joining and for staying on for a couple minutes. We appreciate it.
Yeah.